Good morning, everyone. This is DK305007 with Free the Trade, and today we're going to be going over some market analysis, talking about some of the data that's being released today, and basically giving us an update on the outlook for the upcoming moves in the market. You'll find it all here on Free the Trade. All right, good morning, everyone. I'm DK305007 with Free the Trade, and today we're going to be going over the basics here. Let's take a look here at the market. First of all, as always, we're going to take a look at SPX. That is the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 U.S. stocks, and gives us a general overview for what we're going to see at the day. As you can see overnight, well, actually, you know what? Let's change things up a little bit. We're going to actually start out with our futures. Let's do that instead. Give me one moment here while I get that pulled up for you guys. All right. Personally, I like to use Yahoo Finance. It's just a great place where we can see a lot of news information. We can see all of our futures information over here on this side. Super great resource, and it's free of charge. So definitely one to bookmark on your tabs there. But yeah, so a lot to cover today, so I guess we'll just jump straight in and try to cover as much of it as possible before market opens in about 10 minutes, 9 minutes now. So we saw an increase in futures overnight. At 7:30 a.m. I think we had about 12 different market data releases, which is a lot. Just to kind of summarize, it was neutral to medium, slightly bearish, somewhat bearish. So we did see a major dip on the futures there. Not too big of a dip. Futures quickly rebounded. They are back down at those levels again here right before market open. We're expecting a slightly bearish outlook on the market, but there is also a lot of news that's coming in that's positive. So it's one of those that's going to contribute to increased volatility across the market. Currently trading at 6162.25. This is not an all-time high yet, but we are definitely right up there where we were near the all-time high on the S&P futures. Jumping back into the SPX index, let's take a look at this guy here. Currently sitting right about 50 on the RSI. This is on the 5-minute chart for the day. MACD is currently in a sell cycle, which means we could see a slight increase or bump up at market open. The way we use this relative strength index, or the RSI, is we wait for the level here to reach the 70s, 60 to 70 level, which indicates an overbought or a top-heavy market. Meaning that we could see either some sideways trading or a drop down for some consolidation. This 30 level down here, or a 40 in a bull market, indicates a oversold market, or that the stock is undervalued. Meaning if you buy in here, generally you'll see a bump up towards higher prices as the market gathers itself for another bull run. So that's kind of how you use this RSI. It's a super helpful indicator, much better on a longer time frame as far as its accuracy and such, but it is a good indicator to have in your little toolbox. So taking a look here, looks like we'll start the opening with a little bit of a pump before kind of figuring out where the market's going to move and finding a trend later today, whether that be sideways, up, or down. We're not 100% sure. We are leaning slightly bearish but we're also looking at a higher time frame, such as the 1 hour. We're looking bearish here. But if we're looking at like the week and the day, we are going into another buy cycle. So definitely not saying, hey, the market's about to crash. That's not what we're saying at all. So let's see how we could maybe take advantage of this. Alrighty. Hopefully you guys can see this screen here. No, not that one. Give me 1 second here. All right. Here we go. Here's the Yahoo Finance I was talking about earlier. Let's take a look over here at this. I'm going to log in because I don't know that I've logged in over here yet. So give me one moment here. And it has been quite a bit since we've had a stream, so I appreciate you guys' patience with me. We've been working on a lot of really neat features with our community, and we have another surprise announcement at the end of the stream today, so make sure to stay tuned because you don't want to miss out on that. All right, well, unfortunately, I am having a little bit of a problem getting into that, so let me see if I can do this a different way here. Once again, appreciate you guys bearing with me. All right, here's what we got, guys. Okay, so this is Unusual Whales. Unusual Whales is a third-party data aggregator. It pulls in financial information, a lot of helpful things here, but we're going to take a look at SPX. Almost. Let's try this one more time. Okay. And we're going to take a look at the gamma levels here for SPX. And basically what gamma levels are is it's the distribution of the option volume and open interest, and it gives us an insight into kind of what the market is expecting based on where the majority of those option contracts are. It's a little more detailed than that, but that is a good base overview. So let's take a look here at this. All right. Okay, first of all, the daily gamma exposure. Once again, this is kind of a key indicator that shows us where those option contracts are kind of based around, whether that be a strike price, an expiration date, or a mixture of those two. So currently, we're seeing that we're in a positive net gamma. That's some good news. That means that generally we're going to have more directional trends. Kind of a more predictable market environment. Things are going to be steady. They may not be fast, but they are going to be steady. So looking here, looks like we have a potential for a gamma pin. I think this is just the daily spot is what I'm looking at, I think. Yeah, kind of how we look at this, we can see that there is a lot of options open at these levels. This is the 6,200, the 6,150, and the 6,100 levels on SPX. Another bunch of option contracts are open at 60, 50, and then at 6,000 as well. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to try to explain how to read this here. When we have heavy to the right levels, this is a net positive gamma. That means the market's predictable and slow. When we have a net left heavy gamma, then we're going to see a lot more wild, volatile swings in the market. and it's going to be a lot harder to predict where the market is. Generally, we can use these levels in a net positive day to determine where the price of SPX or SPY or whatever security index or equity that you're looking at, where it's going to end up. So that's called a gamma pin. The market is open now, but let's get through this quick and we'll take a look at the charts. So right now we have a strong level at 6,100. We have another strong level at 6,000. So these are going to be our two biggest levels with the majority of our option contracts open. So these are going to be where the price is going to gravitate to. Now, the way to look at this is if we're in a net positive gamma market, we're going to stick to levels that have a high net positive gamma. So this red area on this bar. So we're going to look at the highest overall distribution of options, which is the 6,100 and the 6,000. But then we're looking for the highest distribution of the red, which is also at the 61,000. Sounds like we've got an ad going on. We want to get that turned off. Give me 1 second here.
Here with savings tools, mortgages, and other financial solutions you didn't know were possible to help you dream bigger, bank better. Whatever your dream home looks like.
That is unfortunate. Okay. No, where were we? Yes. All right. Here we go. So we can expect today that for SPX, we're going to see a potential gamma pin around the 6,100 level. If we fall through what's called the gamma flip zone, which is an area of neutral gamma that's perfectly equal on either side, then we could potentially see a negative net gamma market where the price becomes more volatile and we see crazy price moves, and at that point these positive gamma levels do not become an accurate prediction of where the price is going to end up at market close. So right now looks like we're going to be closing around 6,100. Let's go ahead and quickly take a look at SPY or SPY. This is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index, so let's jump to that as well. This one's a little bit less cut and dried. Looks like we're going to probably end the day around 605. We've got a net positive level. Second stronger level is around 607 with another strong level at 610. Looks like today we're going to be ending up at 605. This could change throughout the day, so we'll keep an eye on it. Another heavy level is around 600. This is our negative net gamma level. When we hit these levels, we're going to have some insane price movement, some insane volatility. We'll probably be seeing that if SPY drops below, I'd say about the 605 levels. We're going to have some support at 607, some support at 607, some resistance at 608. Looks like 607.5 is going to be that flip zone for us. If we're going to get really technical with it, it'll probably be between 604 and 605, but this is when we start losing that that strong distribution of the net gamma. You can see on the left side here, it's a lot weaker, and then all of a sudden it just completely changes and it starts getting heavier on the negative side. So once again, just to rephrase that, look for a potential move to 605 today on the markets. If we really bust through that 605 level, then we could see a move all the way down to 595 or even the 600 or 595 level. So look for that move today. Yeah, I think that's good for now. Let's jump into the charts again and take a look at SPY on Webull here. Alrighty. And bear with us just a moment here. We've got a couple of different things. Okay. There's the market. Here's the initial pump we were talking about. It's 609.22 at the moment with a high of 609.33 for the day. Honestly, I think a good outlook might be some puts here early on. You're not going to want to be super bearish and super long out, but you could potentially scalp a little bit of puts here. We do have a big gap fill here. price has gapped up from where it opened up or where it closed yesterday. Closed around 607, jumped up to 609. We are having market data. I forgot to mention, we are having a lot of market data come in as well. We have seen about half of that, maybe even 2/3 of that to this point. But there will be more things coming up in a little bit today. All right, and bear with me just one moment. I'm checking our chat here to see if we have any questions or any comments that we need to address so far. Looks good so far. Jumping back into these charts here. Okay, let's go over our data here. Okay. So, when it comes to what we're looking at today, as far as data, let's see. All right, here's where we are. We still have new home sales that's coming out at 9 a.m. today. Let's see, there should be some other stuff. I had an aggregation of all the things that we could expect to see today, so a lot of earnings coming in today, which is probably going to be bullish. I have a good outlook on earnings, especially, or I have a good expectations for earnings, I should say. I'm excited about some of the financial information the financial institution earnings that are going to be coming out. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But first, I'm trying to find, where could it be? Having a little bit of a problem finding that. That's unfortunate. I did have it last night, though, and I made a bit of a... All right. I made a post. If you guys are in the Ironworth Trading Discord, I did make a technical analysis, pre-market analysis post, kind of describing what's going on. And if you're not in the Ironworth Trading Discord, that is a new Discord that I'm partnered with, and we'll talk a little bit more about that near the end of the stream. But they're doing a lot of great things, and they're a lot more consistent kind of than what we've been with here with Free the Trade. But we will talk a little bit about that in a minute. Let's jump to this tab here. And unfortunately cannot display that here, so that is not great, but I will read it. Okay, this is what I wrote yesterday in regard to the market analysis today. Hello everyone, get ready for a busy day in the market. Today, June 26, 2025, tons of economic data hitting the wires. I'm going to fast forward and just get to the economic data. We have the GDP second revision, which is a revised look at how the economy grew. That actually ended up coming in down about 0.5%. The core durable goods orders and durable good orders, which tells us about new orders for long-lasting goods and services like machinery, equipment, things like that, transportation, a lot of business-related information here, but that, I believe that was down as well today. Initial jobless claims, that was actually good news, was less than basically how many people are filing for unemployment. That was actually really good. It came back less than expected or forecasted, which is a little bit, that's bullish, that's good. However, that kind of offsets some of that bad news that we did get, such as the GDP being lower than expected. The advanced U.S. trade balances and goods, a preliminary look at imports and exports. From what I remember looking at that data this morning, I believe that our exports were actually down more than expected, which is bearish. There was a speech by the Cleveland Fed president. I believe her name is Beth or Bess or something like that. Those comments by the Fed can always move markets In this case, it was actually neutral. They didn't really have anything bad to say. They said that potentially we could see some increasing inflation in the future due to some of the tariffs. However, they also said, at this point in time, we're doing kind of great, So nothing too much that's going to move the market here. The core PCE and the PCE index, food and energy, I actually don't remember what those came back as. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Other data that's coming in today is the PCE year over year and PCE index, as opposed to the core PCE and the core PCE index. Then we also have the personal spending and personal income, which is how much people are earning and how much they're spending. Then lastly, we have the consumer sentiment. And then we also have, I forgot to mention it here, but we also have that home sales data. I'm just clicking things at this point. Give me one moment here. Where's my calendar? There it is. Which that would be what's coming at 9 a.m., the new home sales here. Don't really expect this to move markets all that much, but it does kind of add to kind of our sentiment and kind of somewhat offset some of the news that's coming in already and moving those markets. Okay, so that's all of our news, which is a ton for today. Wow. So yeah, lots of stuff there. So all that to say is generally it's a neutral to slightly bearish outlook on the market here. Bringing in the confluence of our gamma levels, we're expecting a little bit of a dip, especially since we gapped up. So we can probably see a drop down to the 607 levels. What was the gamma pin level? I think it was 607 or 605. We could take another look at that here in just a moment. Yes, I think that would be an important thing to do here. All right, let's take a look here at these levels one more time just to refresh my memory, and then we're going to jump straight into the charts again. All right, gamma exposure, we are sitting right around 610 levels for the spot gamma. For the individual gamma exposure, we are at a net positive, but it is decreasing now. Currently looking at a 605 gamma pin. Okay, so I think we hit 610, then we have a pretty strong correction, push down through these levels and hit the 607 gamma pin for today. If we break support there, we could see a gamma pin around 605, which 605 seems to be our strongest level. So I think I'm actually going to enter some puts at 605 today. Let's take a look at the expiration dates. Today is the 25th, or 26th, I mean. We're looking at strong positive gamma. With these strikes, we're looking at the strongest being right about 607 for now. So yeah, I think we'll do that. I think we're going to put in some 607 puts for today. And we'll just see how those, maybe even some 606, and just see how those change or what happens with those. I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm doing it on Robinhood, so you can't really see. Apologize for that, but that's how we're going to do it today. Right, trade options. Probably will wait to see if we can get a slightly higher price on SPY before entering these, because we want to get as much momentum as possible. Maybe hit a 610 level before entering those 607 or 608 puts here. Yeah. Alrighty, so taking a look here at Webull, we do have little bit of a bull run coming up here. We did just enter on the 1 minute a dip. Still very much in. This is probably a really good, actually, this is probably a really good time to buy these. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and bite the bullet. Not sell, but we want to buy. I'm going to do 3 contracts. I'm buying them at 0.40 for about $120. That order just went through. I was filled at 0.40. Let me go ahead and screenshot that and throw that in the Discord. I'm also going to make a quick call out there and just let everyone know what we're doing here. Alrighty. All right, so that is there. And there is the drop. Man, I didn't even get this out. All right, so I haven't even got off the order screen. We already are seeing a dollar drop. I'm already up 22% on that call out there. That was a really fast, super fast thing. We are going to keep on holding those. We're up 25% now. This is why I don't like 0 DTE callouts, because they move way too quick to really be able to notify people if they're not on like the live stream and stuff. So wow, what a crazy move right there. Wow, yeah, so that was real time. We're already up over 25%. That's just an incredible move right there. We could completely take that profit and call it good right there, but I think we're actually going to leave this and let this play out a little bit longer today. Let me see if the market moves down to that 607 level. Then we could see about a 200% gain. At close, we're going to be sitting around right at break even if we wait till about 2 o'clock. So I think we see some. I think I'm going to hold those for now. We're going to hold those and just wait to see how the market responds and reacts. As you can see, we are dipping pretty strongly now, trading sideways, but also trading downwards. So we're going to let this 5-minute chart work on these puts here and see what level we can get out of it. If you guys are just tuning in, we just made a live trade, and in less than 1 minute, we're up $30 already. Going to go ahead and log into Robinhood so you can see that. Verify that I actually did place that trade here. Bear with me while I do that, and then I'll throw that up on the big screen. Alrighty. Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering what those alerts are in the background, we will discuss those shortly as well. Kind of bring it up to speed on those. Alrighty. Give me 1 moment here, just making sure we're in the right accounts. Okay. All right, we are in the right account here. So, all right. Okay, so we just sold, or I'm sorry, we just bought SPY puts 607. We're expecting a dip. Here we are about halfway down the RSI in a sell cycle on the 30-minute, in a sell cycle on the 1-minute, nearing low RSI levels here for this bull run. So we could see a potential bump back up very shortly. We could actually take profit here and then turn around and get ready to refill those puts for another drop later on today down to those 607 levels. Actually, we're up 4% on the account. I think we're going to hold and just wait and let this play out a little bit longer here. We do have a little bit extra room on that bottom levels, but I am looking to exit these shortly just to lock in that profit and make sure that that we end, or we start the day off green. This was a really great play today. It was perfect. I mean, that could not have planned that better. It is beautiful. I am going to use Webull charts. I do find them a little bit better, just for my purposes. When I'm trading, I like to look at them. They have accurate data. They're quick, up to date. Just great charts all around. I like it a little bit better than Robinhood's. Yeah, we still have plenty of gap to fill down here. So I think, let me show you. I think we're just going to stay in this just a little bit longer here, but we are looking to close soon. This is the gap. We have only filled a small portion of it. We're looking to bounce through these levels here. If you remember, we talked about having a 607 target. That's actually our 200 EMA. If we land down on that 200 EMA, we obviously expect a slight rebound, but then we expect it to test that level again. If we break that level, our next level is going to be this 605 level, which I believe if you push out to the 5-minute should be our 200 EMA on the 5-minute. So that's kind of our dynamic support and resistance levels. I know I've talked about this in times past, but these EMAs, exponential moving averages, are super important, and they act as a dynamic support and resistance. So right now our target is this 608. We're trying to break that first. Let's take a look and see how that actually lines up with our gamma levels, and we can talk about what's going to happen at those levels here. Logging in again. Not really sure why, but still having some trouble logging in on this. Probably because I may have changed the password or something. I don't remember. That's all right though, because we got it saved on another browser. So let's do that one then. Okay. Sorry. Just trying to find this here. I am not actually seeing that. Where did this go? This is interesting. Let's reload it and see what happens. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, looks like we're having problems with Chrome today. So let me see if I can get this fixed here. We're going to restart Chrome. Don't want to interrupt the stream, so hopefully it doesn't require restarting the stream. Okay, there we go. I think we're in. All right. Okay, back to SPY. Taking a look at these levels here, and while we're doing that, I do want to make sure I'm pulling this up. We are having a little bit of a rebound on SPY right now, 608.81. You probably can't see that, but I am monitoring that. Well, here we go right here. Looking back at the Greeks here. Gex. All right. Boom. Okay. All right, here we go. We're in business now. Still seeing a strong culmination or strong confluence for a 607 gamma pin at the end of the day. Because of that, we are probably going to stay in these a little bit longer. We do see that 608 support level here. That's what we're currently battling, the 608.78. We also see resistance at 609, which once we fall through that level, that is going to be something that's a little bit difficult for us to break on the upside swings. Let's take a look at Webull once again. Right. Okay, there we go. Okay, as you can see, we are bouncing back up, hitting that 609 level, not even quite touching it really. We're just right below it, and we're bouncing back down. This is because of the positioning of the options there. It's very heavy. It's a call wall, meaning there's a heavy net positive gamma. Market makers, when they reach those levels, they gamma hedge, meaning they sell into the strength of the market. So as the market goes up to hit those levels, the market makers sell off SPY, causing it to go back down. This keeps price very steady, very stable, and very predictable. So once again, we are making another attempt towards that 609 level. We do have that 608 support down here, which you can see by the yellow, or the EMA 10, and you can also see by how we hit it and bounced back up. This is going to really, really degrade the price of options. This is called IV crush. The longer this goes on, the cheaper those contracts are going to be. That is why we should probably have sold them, because now we could refill them at a discount. I am going to take another look into my positions and just see how they're doing. They're probably down a little bit or right at break even again. We're up 5%. Yeah, so right around break even still. That's okay. Completely expected. We are going to continue to hold those for that. In fact, we might even top up and add a couple more on here, just depending on what we see the market doing. In addition to this, if we look at the MACD, we are seeing that we are coming up out of that sell cycle, going into a new buy cycle. RSI is heading back up in a top direction. This is a bearish confirmation. If we hit 70 on the RSI, or if we hit these levels on the RSI where we fell last time, before we hit the price levels we were at, then that tells us that the market is bearish and going to go back down. And so, yes, while the EMA and the current trend is up, as long as we don't hit and make these new high levels, then we are still going to keep our bearish trend. We'll potentially see some consolidation around here before continuing our downward attack on that 608 support, and then later on to that 607 pin layer. What's up, DJ? How you doing, man? All right, so yes, if you're just joining in, we are in the middle of a trade. We did 607 puts right near, actually right here on this candle, immediately saw profit more than 25%, and then later on even more than that. We're currently up 5% still. We are attacking the 609 level of resistance, testing that, and then we're going to make another attack towards the 608 support before hopefully continuing on down to that 607 level. All right, we now are trading at the 609. As it pushes up into this level, we should see a strong sell-off here. This could happen anywhere between 609 and 609.50. Could even go up a little higher than that. Just depends on how those market makers are positioned. A lot of times this is what people will call a stop loss hunt, because at this level we know they're positioned there and they're going to push the price down, but they might let it ride a little bit more than expected rather than pushing it down immediately at that 609 level. This allows them to fill up their puts a little bit more. And then when the market does crash, it's going to crash strong and hard. And that's just on a short time frame here. So let's just watch this play out. And I'm going to put out a horizontal ray here, just so we can see how we interact with this level here, which is our previous high, close high. That was a high candle. This is the high close. Okay, and once again, we did wick up and then bounce back down. Here's the stop loss hunt. A lot of people will place their stop losses right around these levels here. There's the stop loss hunt. Big candle up. We'll wait for it. We'll wait for it. And we should see a strong down. There it is. The strong down movement as the market makers sell into that strength. Now, as we break out of this level, this could be another good place to fill up on those puts if you haven't entered the trade. This is not trade advice. This is not a recommendation. This is just a educational and overview of what we're doing at the market. We are also making a hit in that 70 level on the RSI. So here comes our sell-off. Looks like we are going into a slight level of strength here. We are decreasing in strength on the 5 minutes. So definitely going to check the news and just make sure everything is still good here. But I think we are in a pretty good place right now. Nothing really popping out here in the breaking news. For those of you who are not in the Ironworth Trading Discord, we do have a breaking news and a live tweets, similar to how we have it in the Free the Trade Discord. As you can see, this strong sell-off is just very steady, continuing, pushing us right back down beneath those levels. Once again, this is gamma hedging from those market makers. Alrighty. Beautiful. What a day. All right, and just bear with me one moment here. I'm looking for another opportunity to enter this trade here. As we hit these top levels here, we are starting to see a little bit of a consolidation period, trading sideways on the 1 minute chart. As we start gaining some negative momentum and start dropping on the RSI, I might enter some additional puts and just average my position up a little bit. Well, there we go. There it is. We're entering. Perfect. Beautiful trade. Alrighty. Still looking good here. Still kind of fighting that 609 level. Still should be quite a bit of strength there, as those, or I say a strong resistance as those market makers sell off that strength. As you can see on the 1 minute, we are being met with strong sell-offs anytime we have a strong candle. And they're going to be persistent, just really pounding that level. There is a strong level up at 610 as well. We could potentially see a push up to 610, but they're going to have to break through this 609 level, and that's going to be pretty difficult for them for now. So definitely we'll keep an eye for that. But like I said, we are still looking for a 607 end of day pin as of right now. got some comments coming in Discord here. Let's take a look. Hit you with the sub. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. Alrighty. Still, once again, just trading sideways, hitting that strength, testing, trying to see what's going to break. Not too worried about things right now. Definitely know we have this really strong 609 level. Looks like it's starting to win. We are having a little bit of a triangle forming here. Basically, when a triangle happens, you're going to see a breakout. It doesn't necessarily determine a direction for that breakout, but it does say a breakout is coming. As you can see, looks like it's trying to be a bullish breakout. I doubt that that's going to happen because we're so high on the RSI and we're in the middle of a weak buy cycle. We're probably going to see that turn bearish real quick. There's the bear candle forming. Let's watch and wait and see what happens here. We are currently down 5% on our puts. That is perfectly fine. That right there, that candle should have will probably put us above break even. We'll wait for it to close. There we go. We are now down 2%. Bounced off that EMA 10, which is sitting at, I can't see the level it's sitting at here, 609.28. This is our dynamic support. 609 is our strong level of resistance. We're about to make another bearish run. As we fall through these levels here, this is another opportunity to fill up on puts at that 607 level. We've got great expectations for this trade as long as there's no news or anything that does it. Since we're in a net positive gamma, price is pretty predictable today. It's a really great opportunity. There it is. We broke that EMA 10. We're probably going to wick through and test it again. As you can see, we closed underneath it. We're going to test it as a resistance now. And once again, that 609 level has held true. Market makers have sold off that strength. We are now entering into another bearish cycle on the 1 minute. And we're losing strength of that positive bullish momentum on the 5 minute. Our signal line and our MACD line are about to cross. We're now up 3% on our trade. How's the dog doing? Dog's doing wonderful. I hope. He chewed up a shoe yesterday, so he's doing great, living his best life, that's for sure. And sorry guys, I'm not really monitoring the chat too closely, so I do apologize for that. Because we are in a trade, I am trying to focus on that trade and just make sure things don't go absolutely against us. For this particular trade, what I would be watching for is a break through this 609 level and then an attack of the 610 level. If we hit that 610 level, I'm going to definitely be looking for some news, figuring out, hey, what happened? Was it just a break of that 609 level? Is my gamma pin at 607 still valid? What's going on with my trade? I'm going to be doing some research and then making a decision whether to cut that trade at the 610 or to hold for the rest of the day until the 607 when those will probably hit again. Really hanging out right here back at this level on the 1 minute. Another bullish candle off our 20 EMA this time. We're going to bounce right back up into the 609 levels. But we did make a bottom level here. This candle could potentially wick back down underneath this yellow EMA line. Right now it's just testing the strength of this dynamic resistance. Okay. Looks like it closed above, but then immediately went right back to that level. So still a pretty strong resistance level for our price action. We're going to make another attempt at the 20, and we're going to trade between these two levels for maybe another few minutes before dropping out, and we're going to bottom out down here at the 608 level, wherever this 50 EMA is at that time. From there, it's going to be a similar thing where we bounce between the the 50 EMA and the 20 EMA before hopefully breaking that 608 level and heading down to that 607 target price. And that's kind of what we're expecting out of this trade. We are sitting right at break even again on the trade. Just hanging out here. We are up 5% now. As we wicked through this level, we want to see it close below and another lower high up here, which would be right here. We want to make another push down. Still sitting around break even though. Really, I think our biggest dip in price is going to be when this buy cycle here on the 5-minute closes and turns into a red cycle. I think we're going to have a deeper red cycle as that momentum increases downwards. Until then, we're probably going to trade a little bit sideways here. Gives us a little bit of an opportunity to fill up on those puts at lower prices and such. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're just chilling out, hanging in the trade, watching the market, and making sure our research and everything is good. We're starting to see more of a bearish trend on the EMAs. This is always a good news when you start to see those EMAs show confluence. These are a slightly lagging indicator, so you want to enter before they show that confluence. You just kind of have to watch price action, volume, and then use other indicators as your analysis. But once we reach these levels and such, and it starts showing a sideways to bearish trend, that's definitely an additional bit of confidence I have in my trade. So we like to see that. Once again, we're going to push up into that 609 level. Super strong level there. Immediately rejects off of it again. And here we go. We're going to test that 20 EMA, our dynamic support. And once again, if you're just tuning in, we are heading for this gap fill here. You're looking to fill this gap. We noticed that around the 607 is a heavy area of option activity and open interest. We're expecting price to move back down into these levels by the end of the day. What we're really hoping for is for this 5-minute buy cycle to close, turn into a bearish sell-off cycle, and then to continue down. So that is what we're hoping to see. And that is what we're setting up for this trade is set up for. Another attack up to that 609 level. Still dealing with that 20 and 10 EMA, trying to figure out how to get past those levels. What we're expecting is to break this bottom 20 level soon. At that point, we'll be right around the 609.15 level. Once that drops out, we're going to see a major dip down, straight down to that 608, whatever this 50 EMA is going to be at whenever we hit those levels. So it could be out here, which might be 608.78. Just depends, but we're going to see it coming shortly. Strong bullish move up back into the 609. We should see an equally strong sell-off period here as the market makers respond for disrespecting that price level. This is where our action is today. And the reason we are seeing some of this strength is because we are entering into another buy cycle. Still having some sideways to bearish momentum, but the buyers are coming back in pretty strong and heavy. We are still definitely within that 609 range. That 609 range continues all the way up to about this level here. I wonder if I can drop a horizontal line there. Let's see. Put that at the 610 level. That is our level that we're watching for. Where our trade might become invalid. We're going to do some initial analysis if we hit that level. But right now, we're still trading very much where we need to be, holding that 609 level, just waiting for these two supports to break. If you're just joining us, we did take a look at gamma pin levels. We noticed a gap fill on SPY. This is the gap that we're hoping to fill. Gamma pin levels show that we should hit a 607 level somewhere within the day, potentially closing there at the end of the day. Because of that, we have a bearish outlook on the market. We are trying to load up with puts at the highest high. We also saw a gamma pin level at 610 and 609, so we're using those as our dynamic or as our resistance levels for the day, and also the potential levels where we refill those puts. Currently sitting in the trade, we're down about 10% right now, but we are holding 607 puts, waiting for these levels of dynamic support to break, the EMA 10 and the EMA 20, so we can drop down to this 50 and kind of work on that one for a little bit. Should be coming pretty quickly though. We did make a new lower high, and are now attacking that EMA 10 again on the 1 minute. Looks like we tried to push into a bullish buy cycle. We almost crossed over into that. We didn't quite make it. Sellers were just way too strong at that level. I think this might be where we break through these levels here and start attacking this 50 EMA. So yeah. We could have sold down here. I did make the call out and say that we should sell here and then wait for us to attack again and refill those puts. I was in the middle of analyzing stuff, so we did not do that. So we are still holding. We did refill up here, though, so we are still strongly positioned to profit off of the coming drop here on the 5 minute. Once again, RSI is still still very high, still in the overbought range. So we are looking for that 5 minute to close and to continue that dip for us. So we're just going to keep on holding and waiting for now. Thank you. Appreciate your call out here, Shango. All right, once again, hitting those 609 levels, just strongly being sold off. We wicked up here, but once again, those market makers stepped in at that 609 gamma exposure level, which we're calling our first resistance level. So anytime we start pushing through that level, they do have to do what's called gamma hedging. To do that, they sell off SPY when it's a net positive day like it is today. They're going to have strong sell-offs to any strong upward price movement. They're going to have strong buys of any strong downward movement. And so what we're kind of going to do is we're kind of going to grind sideways while heading down directionally over time. So this might be a little bit of a longer trade, just to warn everyone out there. All right, yeah, Shinga, I will throw in. I'll throw some. I've got two different Discords for you guys. We've partnered up with Ironworth Trading. We help them a lot with their analysis and things on the back end. And then we also have the Free the Trade server. So I'll definitely be throwing those and sending those your way. Thank you for wanting to join us. Appreciate that. It means a lot to us. Let me see if I can send that to you here. Okay. There's the Ironworth Trading one, and then at Shanghai, I'm sending over the Free the Trade one as well. Should also be in the description. I don't know if the Iron Trade one is there, or the Ironworth Trading is in there though. All right. Looks like a couple of people made some money already today. Here we are back at the 10 EMA, still grinding higher, still fighting against those levels, still stuck within that 609 level, which is our first major pin level for the day. Just to go back over it for those who are peep meta, no drip, we will do that. Just give us 1 second here and we'll do that. All right. For those who just joined us, once again, okay. If you just joined us, we are looking at the gamma exposure levels for SPY. We are noticing that there's a strong confluence for a end of day price at 607. So as we pushed up into these higher levels, the 609 and the 608 levels, we did buy puts directionally towards the 607 level. What we're hoping to see is that as the day wears on, we break through these levels here and drop down back to the 607 where price is going to end at the end of the day. Yeah, that's about it. We do have a flip zone right here between 605 and 607, so probably about 606. We don't have the data for that level yet, so that's unfortunate, but that's kind of our expectation. That's kind of why we're in this trade. Let's jump back to the trade, and then we'll also look at meta. Here's our trade. We are pushing up out of the 609 level. We're not worried too much about this. We are going to wait and see if we can refill some of those puts. This is another one of those stop loss hunts, usually before a giant dip, and we are heading for a dip. We're going to see a little bit of an opportunity to refill, and before we could even refill, it looks like it's pushed right back down into those 609 levels. So that is unfortunate. Hopefully we can see that 610 level. Unfortunate. That would have been a really, really awesome opportunity, but unfortunately it was the market makers filling up on puts. We weren't able to get in on that as well. So that is unfortunate. Let's take a look at meta. All right, meta. Looks like meta is one of the Mag 7. It is making a strong bullish run here. Has made 2 new highs. This could be some of what's keeping the price of SPY afloat. Got a very strong directional bullish trend. We are following retracement levels perfectly. Like, this is beautiful. Like, this is a beautiful trend. You don't see this all the time, but today we're seeing this. Let's take a look. Here we go. We've got the 100 level. If we go up to this level, let's see. We've got a perfect retracement down into your 30s. Attack here with a price target back up to those levels there. Like, that literally follows. This right here would be your price target, this 127 level. Let's follow this newest one. Okay. Should see a little bit of a drop back down. Let's check it. So what we can expect on this one is a refill level somewhere around here before making another push higher. If it has enough strength, it does show a little bit of confluence of a slight bearish momentum coming in. So definitely wouldn't enter now. Still very much bullish here. We're expecting kind of, let's see. That was that refill level. Very bullish on this one. Let's take a look at this. Could see a little bit of a dip down into that level before making a high. I don't know how much of a dip we'll see here. Should see some since we're so overbought. That remains to be seen. I'm not placing a trade here since we're already in a trade. But yeah, I did want to take a look at that since they're asking for it. Back to our trade. We're still within the 609 levels. Still hitting these. I mean, really, we're just stuck here at the 609 for now. If you just joined, I mentioned that we would probably be stuck around this 609 level for a while, and that as we went higher and higher, I was going to try to get fill up on those puts up to the 610 level. At that point, if we press strongly through that 610 level, then I was going to reconsider my trade. For now, we're still doing okay. Here's the 1 minute. We can watch. We're still trying to break through this EMA 10 and the EMA 20 level. Haven't really done it yet, but once we do, we're going to have a drop straight down to that 50 EMA, which is now sitting right at 609, unfortunately, which is our strong support. But the good news is, once we break through those levels, we've got a straight shot straight down to 607, which is our target. So there we go. That's kind of our outlook for the day. We are slightly bearish. Neutral to bearish was the call out today. To this point, we've been pretty neutral on the trade. Would have been great had you had like an iron condor or maybe a put credit spread above the 610 level. I'm sorry, a call credit spread above the 610 level, or maybe a put credit spread somewhere around this 605 level or 606 level. That kind of profits off of Fed decay and the IV crush from the market open. As we enter to the 930 level here in Central Time, this is going to be a really, really good place to fill up our final puts, since we've been averaging into this every time we make a new high. I think this is going to be one of our last chances to fill up on those. We are sitting overbought. We're just waiting for this to topple over here on the 5-minute. So that's kind of where we're at here in this play. And we're going to continue to hold until we start seeing that that decline. Probably going to see it when we hit that 610 level. We may not even leave this 609 level, just depends. But once we hit that 610 level, we could see a strong sell-off. It'll slow down as we go through the 609 level, slow down as we hit the 608 level. But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually by the end of the day. And then as we hit that 607 level, we would be looking for that 607 level to hold. If it doesn't hold, then we're in for a pretty volatile move down. We did just make a new high at 609.78. Also have a lot of things going on here. I know you guys can probably hear those dings. I'll take this time to kind of let you in on what that is. This is Thinkorswim. We do have some custom alerts that we're listening to and watching for a couple of other swing plays. This is our setup here. These are our scanners. I was actually going to build one today. Don't know that I'll do that on the live though. What we're seeing is changes to these right here, these screeners. So anytime something is added or leaves this screener, it's going to ding and let us know. What these are opportunities for breakouts, for swing trades, and then also we have some on the 15-minute. Let's see if I can find that one. No. On the 15-minute, showing which stocks are currently in a squeeze and which are about to break out. These are good for short day trades. When those squeeze fires, you can catch a quick little snipe off of them. The stronger and longer swing trades are going to be from this hour chart or from the daily chart. But yeah, that's kind of what that ding is that you guys are hearing. So I apologize for that, but I'm also using that to monitor some other trades. All right, back to Webull. Okay, we are here making a new high. Let's refresh this. Really not having a lot of strength on these bull runs anymore. Really kind of losing that steam. Very much sideways on these signal lines, barely making it apart. We are starting to see a dip down. This could be where we fill up our last time. All right. See, they're currently at about 20, 22, which is a really, really good price for me. Add a couple more to this. All right, and we are hitting that 610 level. All right, and now that that refill has occurred, we are just going to sit back and wait. We are at the overbought levels once again, are hitting a strong level of resistance up here at the 610. Market makers will begin to sell this back off again. So here we go. Alrighty, we did wick up into the 610 level to make a new high. Once again, market makers have pushed us back down below that level. Oh, and we are going to push up into it again. But market makers should be pushing us down. This is our final little leg. We are about to close here. As we close with this confluence of overbought and heading into a sell-off cycle, you can imagine what's going to happen next on the 5-minute chart. This right here is our last final push to get some cheap puts. And we're going to turn around pretty quickly here. Very strong price candle up straight through the middle of that. That is big, big, strong candle. Let's look at the volume associated with that. 311,000. Wow, that was a ton of volume. Let's make sure we didn't have any news. All right, show me. Checking our news right now. Yeah, actually, we've had some bearish news that just came up. World Trade Organization's new export orders index declined to 97.9, indicating slower trade growth expected this year. Okay, it did have a Tesla upgrade on the price target to 475 after Robotaxi launch. Tesla could be keeping the market afloat right now. At this point, we are extremely overbought, though. If you take a look here, like we are trading way above that level. Looks like we're setting up for a pretty strong move downward. We are going to hang out here. Very nice. Looks like Seducation did pretty well on his coin calls, up 140%. Very nice. All right, there's another item added on our ticker. It looks like EA was removed. And we're continuing to monitor this trade here. We are being sold right back off. Very strong sell-off here. We are just waiting for that tipping point when we finally can move into the bearish cycle. Link to the Ironworth trading server, please. Absolutely. Let me post that in the chat. Sorry that we're not monitoring. Once again, sorry we're not monitoring the chat super closely today. It is because we are in the middle of trades and don't want to be too distracted while trading. So bear with us here. And we'll see if we can get that to you. There's the link to Ironworth. And here is the link to the free the trade. Two different options for you guys. And it looks like we're missing. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, still sitting back here around the 610 level, waiting for the market makers to push us back down and to start that sell-off cycle, which is coming. Really not a lot of change here. We're going to refresh and take a look at our gamma levels to make sure. I don't really think that there's been too much of a change here. Yep, still sitting pretty solid. Still have a very similar gamma distribution or gamma exposure distribution here. So we're just going to relax and wait. See if we can open that up a little bit and see. Okay, 610, 607. Let's take a look here. Perfect. 607 puts are currently about 17 to 18 bucks a piece. As we get down closer to those levels, they're going to be about $70 to $100 a piece. So this is a great opportunity to fill up on those. And really from here on out, it's just waiting and watching. We are entering into another bear cycle on the 1 minute. Hopefully this coordinates with or correlates with a bear cycle on the 5 minute. If so, we're going to see some explosive downward movement, pushing us right back down into the 609 level and breaking the hold that the 610 gamma level has had on the price action. We are bouncing around against this EMA 10 and the EMA 20 still haven't quite found the break of those levels yet. These are, once again, our dynamic support and resistance levels. Right now, they're acting as a support because price is trading above them. If price falls through these EMAs, they will then act as a resistance, meaning that price will bounce off of them. Let me show you an example of that in past. Right here, we broke through them. Then they bounced back up, wicked through it, and then had to fight their way back above it in order to continue trading above it. You'll notice that anytime we have them, they'll either act as a support or they're going to act as a resistance level. Personally, I use the 10, 20, 50, and 200. Right here is the 10. Blue is 50 or 20, red is 50, and then this turquoise is 200. And that's pretty much how I have them on all of my charts that I use for trading. It's generally how I set them up here. 10, 20, 50, 200. These last two are not visible because I don't use them. For these indicators down here, we're using the RSI, which is the relative strength index, with a 6, 14, and 24 standard values, and then the MACD 12, 26, and 9. Same thing there. It's standard. If you have a MACD indicator, it's probably set at that unless you used custom variables there. All right, guys. We do have a crossover, a bearish crossover on the MACD. We are seeing that dip down on the RSI as well as a new trend established here. This could very well be what we're looking for. There's our trend line. We are going to squeeze between the EMA 10 and this trend line. Wherever this candle made a bounce against that trend line, this one could make a further bounce up, but I doubt we're going to see a new high here. I think we're going to drop. There it is, breaking that 10, wicked through. Now it has another attack before it can finally break and push through those levels. I think we're set up pretty good here. looking pretty good over here as well. Did have a strong bullish to bearish movement. We have now reloaded that movement. We are way overbought on the 5-minute, and we're looking for a downtrend here. There it is. There's the bounce again, confirming that trend line. Once again, still battling with that EMA 10 here. Here's our breakout. We are in a descending triangle pattern right now. Probably are going to see a breakout to the bottom side. One final test of that trend line. Still holding pretty strong. Although we will update our trend line when this candle closes to include that level there, just for a little bit of our own safety of our trade here. Still holding very strong, that trend line. And about 10 seconds to 12 seconds for the close. Holding decently. 5 seconds to close of the candle. There's the close. Boom. And we followed that trend line. We are going to update it to hold to that pattern. But there we go. We should be breaking right here. This is our breakout. Notice the EMAs have just moved more bearish. I think we break this 10, and now we're going to attack the 20 in just a second. About 20 seconds, 23 seconds left to close that candle. We need to keep strong negative momentum in order to break these trend lines and then have a chance at coming back down and attacking this one. Testing that 20, finding some strength there at that support. That's right above the 610 level. We did break through completely that 10 EMA. We are going to come back up, probably test this trend line support and the EMA. I don't know if we'll get to that trend line yet. I think we're going to continue down for a little bit. We may come back up and touch the trend line here momentarily, though. Very much trying to push through this. Does wick through it, hits the trend line, and is pushed right back down below the trend line, pushed right back to below that EMA 10 as well. 20 seconds to close on this candle. Here is the moment of truth. Can we break that EMA 10 going back up in a bullish direction, or are we going to be pushed down? Since we have confluence of two strong levels, we have this level of price action, we have the EMA, and then we have this. That's three major levels of support here. I doubt we break this. And let me draw that out for you. We have this right here, which is a strong level of resistance. We have a trend line, and we have the EMA. So I don't know that we're going to break over this too much. This could be our last little thing. We did wick up through this trend line, but until this candle has closed, though, we have not broke that trend, as you can see. It's a major three levels of support or resistance right here. This right here is called a gravestone candle. Usually comes before a strong move downward. About 13 seconds, 12 seconds to close on the candle. 10 seconds and counting. We are now pushing against that 20 level, held perfectly against our trend line, against this level of support here, and against our EMA 10. Closes below it. We now have one more attempt up to touch that trend line. We still have multiple levels of confluence of resistance here. So we've got 3 versus 1 on this level. So we can probably assume that this bottom one's going to break since we have those strong levels of resistance above. We'll just have to wait and watch how it plays out. Should be starting a downtrend right here soon on the 5-minute.
What up, fellas?
Hey, Seducation, how you doing, man? I am in the middle of a stream here. So I might hop out of the chat
Okay.
If you guys are not in the live stream here on the YouTube, I did post it in the general chat. If you need me, tag me in the general chat and we'll post it there. But I am going to hop out of here just so we don't have the background audio.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, man. All right, guys. We have fallen back through and closed below that EMA 20. This is perfect. This is the perfect setup here. We may have a little bit bounce back because we are leaving that entering that 609 level. Market makers may push us back up to our trend line, but we do have now 1, 2, 3, and well, right now we only have about 3 levels of resistance. At this level, we have 4 levels of resistance above, so we're definitely going to see that bearish trend coming through. Now, as we enter this 609, we are going to see the market makers right here. They will buy into strong sell-offs. So they're going to come up, and we're probably going to make a new touch point on this trend line here. Probably trade sideways, and then at this point, once we have 3 levels of confluence of resistance above us, we'll probably push us down into the 609 level again. There we go. Once again, now we're in between. We have 2 levels of resistance above, 1 level of resistance below. We're going to trade sideways here for a tad bit. It needs to gain strength to break this again. Probably will, though, since there are 2 levels of resistance above and only 1 level of support below. Once we get down here, we should have more downward pressure because we'll have 3 versus 1, and it just kind of stacks that way. But we're not quite there yet. We've still got to break through this level. There's the touch of the trend line again. Still looking at incoming bearish momentum here. Looks like we're going to make a strong move up outside. Hopefully this is a wick. We have about 3 seconds for this candle to close. We'll need to watch this candle to see how things behave here. Looks like we are going to have a slight bullish pause into this trend reversal, probably making a new top. We'll just use that as our next trend line when it closes. Takes a little bit of time for a top-heavy market to get that momentum going and fall down, but it'll get there, guys. Don't worry. Definitely struggling right here, and that's as soon as this closes, that's where we're going to place our new trend line. Current one was down here. This is going to be our second touch point and our second lower high. So 3, 2, 1, close bearish. Perfect. That's our new trend touch point, and we should continue downward from here. We do have to break this 10 EMA again, which is unfortunate. And may increase and take a little bit while. We may see a little bit of a buy cycle here, but it's not going to be a strong one. Shouldn't be a strong one unless there's news. At this point, we have hit, let's see, a 50 RSI. Generally, once we break peaks at 50 RSI, so we in a downward direction, like once we push down through this level again, we'll continue downward. So right now we're going to have a little bit of a pause on our trend, so we're just going to hang out and wait. Like I said at the beginning of this trade, this is going to be a longer trade, but I think it's going to be worth it. I reckon this trade will probably take us till about anywhere from 12 p.m. today to maybe even like 2 p.m. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. And want to adjust that just a little bit. Actually, I might even remove this trend line and let it make its solid lower high here. I don't know. We might just let it play out. We'll see. But what we're trying to do is we're just trying to fill out where these levels are, because this is a dynamic level. These trend lines are generally they're generally accurate, but they're not like to the penny accurate. It's hard to, you just kind of have to watch the price action and look at the levels, and use those as your touch points and such. And so usually what you want to have a really strong downward trend on a trend line is a 3 touch point. In this case, we're still looking for our second one. So we don't know exactly where it's going to be. That's kind of why we're moving it around and trying to find that level. Okay, maybe it's right here. So there's our strong move up, strong rejection off this. If this continues, then we should be okay here. I could see, since we're still in a generally bearish momentum, that we continue downward from this level. We'll just have to wait and see, though. Everything you see here is live. We are guessing, just like everybody else in the market. And so while we hope we have the right confluence and we're reading the price action and the volume right, we never can be too sure what's going on. Notice that we have strong sell-off volume here, but we don't really have a ton of strong buying volume on this pump. That's something that's helping me be confident that this pump is not very strong. So pretty happy about that. Hopefully that was our second touch point. We hit a EMA 10 on the way down. Need to break this again and really, really strongly break it. Unfortunately, we are not doing that right now. We'll just wait and let's let it play out a little bit. We are reaching a period of lower volume on the market, so we could see a little bit higher price swings and such. That's something to be aware of and to consider when watching your trades. If you see a major candle like all the way to the moon, you might want to check that and see if it's a high volume or a low volume. Because if it's high volume, it probably means there's news or something like that. If it's a low volume pump, like look at this one right here. If it's a low volume pump, then right here, 67,000 volume on this candle so far. 89,000 on this one. On this one right here, we had 777,000. So if it's a low volume pump, you might reconsider it and be like, hey, if it's going up that way, I'm just going to refill my puts and hang out. Because if it's only 10 people buying that high, then I assume the sellers are going to push it down quickly and easily if they only have to overcome 10 buyers. So just something to consider as we go into the middle part of the day. And at this point, if you had started a trend line for the day, we would now be well underneath that trend line. We would have broken that trend line and we have our reversal. This is kind of an area of sideways trading. Once we break it and start confirming that reversal, then we have a bearish trend line and we can start to see things turn around for us. So, and if you're just here, we did average into puts all the way up and refilled around the 610 level, so right about here. Haven't checked our trade in a little bit, but I think we're probably about at break even or right around there hanging out. We do suffer a little bit from IV crush, which means implied volatility is higher in the morning. And so due to that, the risk and the premium on the options, or the cost the amount of money that an option contract costs to buy is going to be higher. Then as that implied volatility settles throughout the day, it is going to decrease in value. And that's different than theta decay, but it's also similar because theta decay is specifically linked to time. So like every hour it diminishes by this amount. Whereas IV, implied volatility, is if volatility increases, then that option contract is going to increase. And generally we have a higher volatility in the mornings and in the evenings, and a lower volatility in the middle of the day. And so it isn't specifically like theta decay. Theta decay is only going to keep decreasing. At the end of the market, implied volatility might bump up again and increase the option contract values. So sorry if that's not a super clear explanation. If you have any questions about it, throw them in the chat and we'll talk about it a little more. But I did want to comment on that since we did open those earlier in the morning. All right, we are trading sideways here. Still looking at a sideways directional triangle forming. a sideways triangle or a triangle, often it's just called a triangle, indicates a breakout in either direction. Doesn't necessarily define the direction, just says that we're going to have a breakout. SPY is still kicking here, trying to keep its momentum up, trying to stay alive. We are looking at this crossover on the 5-minute coming soon, though, so definitely be ready for that and waiting for that. Going to go ahead now, update and adjust this trend line here. We do have a small bullish trend line. Let's look at the volume on these pumps. This was a stronger volume, higher volume. Nothing too wacky or too crazy. It's being met with an engulfing candle, which is good news. We'll just hang out and wait. Anybody have any questions or want us to look at any other particular trades or anything like that? Let's take a look here. Did you see it hitting 610? Had a question on what time frame did you see it hitting the 610? You got that spot on. Appreciate it, first of all. Second of all, the reason we thought about the 610 level was due to the gamma exposure and the open interest and volume of option contracts at the 610 level. Gamma exposure, once again, is the level of option exposure by market makers. Now, whenever market makers have a position and the price moves against their position, they're going to react to it. On a net positive day like today, they're generally going to sell into the strength. So as price goes up, they sell, which brings some stability to price. And as price goes down, they're going to buy it back up, which brings, once again, that stability to price, makes it predictable, easy to figure out what's happening. And yeah, that's kind of what's going on today. So we're lucky. Hopefully there's no news that changes things or impacts our trade too much. Currently we're chilling here. We're just hanging out, watching price action. I do have a little bit of a short bullish trend, but it looks to be coming to a slight end here. Having some trouble breaking this upper trend line. What's really neat is that anytime you have upward price movement, as it pulls up even, your upper top trend line is going to be a level of resistance too. It's really interesting how that works, but it's true. Also, whenever you break through a trend line and you bounce back up, so in this instance, we had a bullish trend, we broke through it. Whenever it bounces back up, it uses that as a level of resistance as well, which is pretty neat. All right, things are looking pretty bad over here. The 5-minute is about to cross over on the MACD. We're seeing signs of a deeper dive sell-off here. We're holding to that trend line really closely, and now we're making an attack at the EMA 10. This could be what we were expecting and hoping for. We're seeing some increases, 214,000 volume sell-off here. This right here was an insane 777,000 volume sell-off. But have high hopes for this one. We're at our tipping level. I mean, we are hanging on the edge of a cliff right here. Like, we are down to the wire with this one. We have about 4 minutes for this one to close. And it's not looking good for the 5-minute price action, which is what we're trading today. Low volume candle here so far. Looks like our last attempt. It's starting to increase in volume, but looks like our last attempt to break stop losses and to push up. Can't even reach that level yet, so I'm not too concerned about it. But this is our last ditch effort. This is this morning here. This is where we are now. We can expect to see a pretty strong, hopefully a pretty strong dip. So something like this right here. Yesterday would have hit all the way down into the 605 levels. Today we're hoping to hit down to the 607, or at least somewhat near that level. Are we going to make a final high before dipping? It is going to go up and touch and confirm price. 5 seconds to close on this candle here. This is our stop loss hunt once again. Let's see how strong that. Yeah, 101,000 volume. 117. These are our institutions right here pushing that price up. Reloading their puts, getting things ready. As soon as they're loaded and ready, then we're going to switch over into this sell-off cycle, and we should see a great move here. It is all coming down to these moments here. Also, we got a new high of day, or new intraday high, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one here. Okay. Bit of an ascending triangle here. Expect to see that before our drop. But we are showing some confluence of a ending bull run cycle. So let's take a look at our Heikinashi candles here. I like to use these from time to time. There we go. Because this allows us to see trends a whole lot easier. Basically, this just takes the average values of the opening, closing, and highest prices, and it plots them as candles in a continuous time period. So this would be our normal candles, where you can see the trends, but this is going to be a lot clearer of a trend recognition, or a candle for trend recognition. So pretty easy to see what's going on here. Got our final little kick up here, and then RSI is already dropping a little bit, which is not. I think we'll be fine here. I think we'll be fine. Hitting that overbought levels again. We're coming for this. We're hanging on the edge of a cliff here. I mean, it's kicking, it's giving its best, but we're on the very end of a major. You can see this is today so far. Let me see. All right, this is opening. Looking at the Heikinashi candles, this has been our trend today so far. Let me show a little better here. Guess we'll start off with this one here because that was our lowest. We've been on this strong bullish kick, averaging into our puts, waiting for this to tire out. We tired out here, but it's still just slightly strong enough to keep going up a tad bit. But we are starting to see it cross over on this major, the major trend of the day. So that is good news for us. And I think that as soon as we see it finally break that level here on the trend line, that I think we're going to have a lot better time of it. Alrighty, here we are perched on the precipice right here. Just waiting for a SPY to dip through this trend line and for these to cross over and this to continue downwards. At that point, that's it. Starting to see dips coming in on the 1 minute here. As soon as it breaks this trend, we are out of here. Heading right back to the morning. I think we close on this candle underneath. If so, that's a good sign. 3 seconds to close. This is a bad looking thing. Ooh, it's crossing over into a sell-off cycle. This is going to be a dip. We crossed the trend line. Here it is, guys. Let's watch. It's going to make a test of this trend line one more time. Those little wicks. Selling candles are increasing here. The volume is 300,000 in just these two right here. Comparatively low volume candle here. Oh, it's barely hanging on. Barely hanging on. We're through the trend line here. Still slightly hanging on here, but we are set up. I mean, we have a perfect setup right here. If you're not in a play yet, this is the perfect opportunity to short this stock or short this ETF. We're on the edge of a cliff. 3 EMA levels I'm monitoring. I'm actually monitoring 4 bin. I monitor the 10, which is this yellow, the 20, which is this blue, and the red, which is a 50 EMA. Then you can't see it, but a 608 down here is this green one, which is the 200 EMA. We're still barely hanging on the market. We've still got about 1 minute left on this candle. Still have a good looking crossover happening on the MACD on the 5 minute. Still overbought as all get out on the 5 minute. Have a 605.61, which I believe will be our 200 EMA that we're targeting. It's probably going to be about 607. It might be nearer to the end of the day when we see this, but we're aiming for this as our target. So we're expecting price to come down and converge with this line, wherever that is. It's probably going to be around somewhere around 607, somewhere around here maybe. We're aiming for this gap fill. And yeah, that's about it. We've still got about that much left on it. Oops. On the gap fill. I can pull it out here so y'all can see where we're heading for. But yeah, when we break through this, we're heading back down to these levels. We're going to probably attack this level here, the 50 EMA, and then hopefully meet up with the 200 EMA somewhere around the 607 level, according to the gamma exposure and confluence of indicators. And it looks like we're dropping. And I know we've seen this play out a couple times, but I want you to take a look back at where we've been. Notice our momentum is getting more and more negative, and we're getting a lot more red and a whole lot less green on these. Just remember that as we cross through and these numbers here become negative numbers, we're going to see, let me see if I can make this a little easier to see. We're going to, as these numbers here cross the zero, we're going to see a lot faster pickup in the, right here, this is the zero line. As they cross this level, these two lines, we're going to see a lot faster of a downward movement. And that's going to be a lot better. So in this place, we've been in positive momentum, trying to overcome all that positive momentum. Now we're getting somewhere. So we're gonna start seeing our theories on the market play out a little bit quicker. So, which is exciting. We love to see it. It's kind of like how they say the whole stair steps up and elevator down. We just got on board the elevator, guys. So get ready. And in case you didn't know, we are trading the 5 minute. We are trading the 5 minute. We're not trading the 1 minute. I know I'm looking at the 1 minute and watching price action on the 1 minute. But we're trading the 5 minute setup, which is this one here. And we have averaged into puts all the way up. Our last time we averaged in was right about this level, so we should be right about break even right now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hold until we come back down to through these levels towards our price target, which is this dynamic moving level here, the 200 EMA. That's where we're hoping to sell. Alternatively, if we see evidence that the trade is going against us pretty strongly, then we will hop out there. But yeah, I mentioned that we'd probably see this trade occur somewhere around like 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock today. This is where it's happening. This looks like where we're reversing that trend, or the day trend. Here's a look at the 1 minute again so we can watch. Right now we are pushing up against a secondary trend on this right here. So this is a little bit of a level of dynamic support. It also matches up with our 20 EMA. So we are going to see a little bit of a slowdown here. Not anything too concerning. Might as well go ahead and start marking. We have a 3-point touch here. Double layers of resistance here. So hopefully that should be enough to hold price action down and push us into the 609 levels. This is going to be a slower trade. As I said again, because we have so much net positive gamma to push through, this is just going to take forever, it seems like. And we're seeing evidence of that right now. And we've seen evidence of it all the way to this point. So we just hold on and wait. Trend line did hold fast here, which is good news. We're attacking that 20 EMA with now confluence of 3 major levels of support. We have a vertical or a horizontal line here. We have a trend line, and we have this EMA 10 as a positive resistance here. So we're probably going to see that 20 EMA break shortly. Let me diagram this out for you right here. So we have this level right here, which is a level of resistance and support. It will support here. It's going to be resistance to this guy, even though it looks like he's doing fine. That's a low volume candle, so nothing. That's 11,000. Not much to worry about there. Then we have this guy right here, which is a another strong level of resistance. Then we have this yellow guy right here, which is another level of resistance. So he's stuck between this blue one, which is a support, and the yellow one, which is a resistance. But because this yellow one has these backup 3 pieces of resistance above it, he's going to win over this blue guy, and he's going to push the price through. And that's what we're seeing right here. There it is. He's pushed it through. Now he just needs to close it below. Once he's done that, we are in business. He's still got one little more attack in him. Once again, he's pushing below. He did close below that 20 EMA, so we should be good. He don't want to stay there though. Market is bullish. He doesn't want to stay under that level, but he's going to have to. I think there's too much. I think there's too much resistance here. Let's take a look. Still pretty low volume. I wouldn't trust this candle. They are definitely fighting to keep it alive, though. Starting to gain a little bit more volume now. 47. This is like a last-ditch effort again. And volume is, or the bears are the, yeah. Bearish price action is winning back over, pushing it back down below those resistant levels. So it is trying its best to stay afloat. Still sitting right here up at the 70 RSI. I don't know that it has too much of a chance to break through this. Actually manages to close above that. That's crazy. So yeah, it did manage to do it. Still think it's... I mean, it's still... Let's just take a look. It's still bearish confluence throughout this whole thing. It's pushing down. Has a little bit of positive momentum still on the 1 minute. But as soon as we break that 0 level, we're already down another 0.02. So as soon as we break through those levels, right here you can see it bounced up and tested its upper trend line again. As soon as it gets this last little bit out of its system, it's going down. And I know I've said this several times. And I know you guys are probably like, well, is it really? Is it really? Is this copium? What is this? No. We'll just wait. This is a longer trade, but we're gonna be okay. I'm pretty confident in this one. All right, we have a 172,000 volume. Probably broke stop losses here. Everyone's like, I'll put my stop loss at the previous high. I'm going to set up my trade right here. And then wham, their stop loss just got broken. They're like, oh, maybe it's going back up again. And then they're going to be met with this. Still a low volume candle. We'll wait. And starting to gain a little bit of volume. This is now about an average volume candle. 71,000 volume. Pushing it up just a little higher. Crossing over into a last ditch bull cycle here, or buy cycle. Testing that upper resistance level one more time. We're still hanging here on the edge above 70. MACD crossover is in place. We've got one last ditch little wick that is just being a little bit stubborn for us, which is understandable, but I think we're going to be okay. We are trading this higher time frame. We are just watching price action on the 1 minute because it's more interesting. It's more fun. It's more fun to talk about price action on the 1 minute than it is to do it on the 5 minute. Because in the 5 minute, we just sit here for 5 minutes and nothing happens, and then we have a candle that we can talk about on the 1 minute. By the time you talk about the candle you're on, the next candle has started, and you can talk about that one or predict what's coming after it. So that's the reason why I'm watching this on the 1 minute instead of the 5 minute. I am flipping back and forth between the two just to make sure that we still are in a bearish confluence over here, and we still have a strong evidence for a bearish trade, but we are commentating on the 1 minute price charts. Okay, here we go. let's see, we had a strong volume, 127,000 sell-off. Now we're up 66,000 sell-off, 79,000 sell-off. Volume is ticking upwards, price is ticking downwards. This is good news. Look how little and short-lived this one is. We are right at break-even. Like, we are just barely above the break-even with this level. So what we're hoping is that we cross below, and when we cross below, we're going to have our dip, and we're going to have a strong dip. Price action and momentum is going to shift negative. We're going to have a lot more sellers than buyers, and we're going to see our hypothesis come to pass. Starting to see this guy peak up above the gap fill, but don't worry, that's just the 50 EMA on ours. Ours is still sitting down at about 605.72. We believe it's going to be around 607 whenever our price hits that, so could be out a little bit, somewhere around 2 o'clock, as I've mentioned before. Price is still trading along the top of the 70 RSI, still grinding up a little bit, but we are still perched here, ready to take a strong downturn later today. So we are going to keep our eyes open, keep watching the price, and keep holding our position here. See how strong that was. A very strong reaction. So we had this sell off, then we had a very strong reaction to this strong move downwards. 102,000 sell off, 221,000 bullish buyback. So still very much struggling to break this 610 level. The 610 level was another really strong level of gamma exposure. Once again, gamma exposure acts as a price magnet. So we kind of are stuck between three major levels of gamma exposure. It's a hard, I'll just show you. Okay, so this is our current, actually let me refresh and make sure. All right, so this is currently what we're dealing with right here. We have this really strong level of 610 gamma exposure. We have another 608 level here. That's the level that we're struggling with right now. Once we break out of these three levels, we have a gamma flip zone around 607.5, and then we see a lot of negative gamma momentum. If we can break out of these, I think we're going to see a little bit more of a price action. If we push up past this 610 level, we're in very low negative gamma, and at that point, our trade becomes invalidated, and we really need to look into doing something different. We are in positive gamma here, as you can see. That's our spot gamma. If we look at the today dated 0 DTE, which is the 0 DTE gamma exposure, we can see that we're probably going to end up around 607 this afternoon. But it's going to take us a bit to get through this 610, 609, and 608 levels. But I think we'll be okay. Still very much outweighed on that 607. So that's a brief look into the Greek or the gamma exposure. Let's go back to our trade. All right, here we are. We missed a deep dive. I say a deep dive. We missed a sell-off here, 85,000. Still continuing to grind along sideways a little bit here, even slightly bullish. But we still have the confluence here, and this is what we're banking on right here, is the price continuing down throughout the day. We are in the middle of a buy cycle on the 15-minute. Have a small oversold buy cycle on the 30-minute. That's going to close off soon. Once we have the confirmation of all those time, like look at this, guys. On the 1 hour, or let's start here. On the 30-minute, we are in this very slightly bullish buy cycle, but it's not even hardly it's not hardly moving up. Like it's very, like, we're declining in volume. Like, I don't know. That's a good news for our trade. Here we're in the middle of a bullish cycle. We're overbought, so that means the price is going to come down pretty soon, and we can expect a drop. So that's good for us as well. Volume is declining. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. once again, we are entering our first sell cycle. This is really good news. We are at the 70 levels, meaning price will come down soon. Volume is declining. On the 1 minute, same thing here. Volume is declining over the day. Still pretty high on the RSI levels, above 50. We are about at break even on our momentum. As we break through, like our bottom line has broken through, but as we break through this negative, this zero line here, things will start to speed up really quickly. We'll start to see the drop. We have crossed over now, which is good news. We have crossed over on our MACD. It's a little bit of a lagging indicator, but we have crossed over, which is good. We're getting closer over here. We're going to start to see a peak form on this RSI on the 15-minute. We're starting to see it trade sideways, so we're going to see a peak form soon over here. And then on the 1 hour, we're probably going to see a peak any moment now. I say any moment now. These are 1 hour candles, so we're probably going to see a peak within probably the next hour or two. Like I said, around 12 o'clock. And then we're going to see a declining price. We're still sitting pretty high on the RSI on the daily. That's not really going to impact us too much here, as we're not swing trading. We are in a red month, which is an interesting. It's interesting to note. Not going to impact us terribly. So yeah, that's kind of our outlook right now. This trade is doing fine. It may not feel that way. I get it, but we're not watching the percentage of our trade or anything like that. We are averaging into the trade as we go up and make new highs, and we are watching the chart confirmation of volume and price action and indicators in order to determine where we're going. And for here, we have a thesis. You can see we're declining still on the 5 minute. We're starting to decline on the 1 minute. We've broken through that 10 EMA. We were starting to break through that 20 EMA. At this point, this is a really good, if you haven't entered, this is a good point to enter. We've had a lot of good points to enter. This is going to be a fine trade, I believe. We're just waiting for that momentum to take over on the negative side. Once it does, we're just going to write it down to our 200 EMA, which is probably going to be around 607. So here we go. I'm really excited because these are now below 1. When we're below 1, that means we're very close to 0. We're in the decimals now. So we should be crossing over into negative momentum. As you can see over here, we've been up higher, up to almost 2. If we go back in time, we've probably been even higher than that. Yeah. But what we're seeing is you'll have a sharp decline down into those negative levels. And once we really hit those negative levels down here, then price just really speeds up. This was yesterday, and we hit all the way down to a low of 605. So yes, I know we're up a little bit. We're up at 610. It's $3 price movement. But look at yesterday. Same thing. We up, and we went all the way down to into the 605 levels. So keep your chin up. Keep an eye on the indicators, on the confluence of signals. And that's what matters. We're starting to drop on the RSI on the 15-minute. Volume is declining. Good stuff. Looking good. 30-minute, we have a sideways buy cycle closing. RSI is flat. Overbought will soon be dropping. Probably within an hour. So around 11:30 maybe. There comes a bigger drop on the 5 minutes. Oh, and we are dropping strongly on the 1 minute. Take a look at this, guys. I told you we've been on the edge of a cliff. Looks like that cliff, gravity's taking over, pulling us off that edge, and we are headed back down to our 200. But since we're trading the 5 minute, we are going to have another little sticky area around 609. That's expected. Once again, we have a lot of culmination of gamma exposure there at 609 and at 608, which lines up perfectly with our EMAs on the 5 minute. Once we break through this EMA on the 5 minute, we are going to have to attack it on the 20 EMA and the 50 EMA. But we have the confluence on our side. We're starting to drop on the RSI on the 15, overbought, starting to drop on the 30 minute. This is looking beautiful, guys. I'm excited about this, and this is doing great right now. From here, we're going to push down into 609, and we're going to bounce. That's what's going to happen. There it is. I think we just, nope, not quite, but we are going to bounce similar to how we just did. That's because high gamma exposure levels are going to be sold off by market makers. I'm sorry. The price action dropping strongly is going to be bought back up to steady price. Here we go. Double EMA crossover, heading for a triple EMA crossover on the 1 minute. This is great news, guys. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing right here. Price action is just behaving perfectly. It's monitoring our gamma exposure levels. And we have strong sell-off volume coming in, 138, 264, 140,000, 30,000 right there starting on the new candle. And it is 10:30, which I generally end these streams at 10:30. I am going to stay around just for a little bit, but just note that our trade plan is to trade the 5 minute, trade it down to the 200 EMA, and then take profit. Our stop loss is if we press through the 610 level and hit the 611s. We'll check for news and then determine whether to cut. In this case, we hit the top there on that trend line as resistance, so we didn't have to close anything. Everything is lining up perfectly. We got the 30-minute declining now. The 15-minute is dropping down. 1 hour is dropping down. This is a beautiful, beautiful setup for a end of day 607 price level. Like, this is literally amazing. Like, you could not have planned this better. So we've been buying puts all morning at each high. Our last one was somewhere in 610 level. So I think maybe right here's where we last bottomed. So we definitely should be in profit at this point. We're going to take a look at our trade now. See what we got going on. Up 31%. And we're just going to hold and wait. Here's that bounce I was talking about. As we entered into the 609, market makers are buying into the strength, pushing that price back up. You also notice it correlates with a 30 RSI on the 1 minute. That does not mean our trade is invalid, just means that it's being tampered a little bit, not tampered with, but being dampened a little bit by that market maker hedging. We are still above 50 RSI on the 15 minute and on the 5 minute in a strong decline. The 15 minute is about to close too. That'll be a triple confirmation. And if we look at the 30 minute for our fourth confirmation, we are entering into a sell-off cycle with a high overbought 70 RSI. And if we look at the 1 hour, same thing, in a strong buying cycle, turning into a selling cycle above 70 RSI and tilting downwards. This is just, I mean, I don't know what else to say, guys. It's setting up for us today. It was beautiful. So we just need to get through the 609 and 608 levels, which we should do by the end of the day. And so that's why I'm going to continue holding these for now. Trade invalidation happens when we push through the 610 all the way up into the 611s. If we have news, it's an invalidation. If we don't have news and we don't have volume confirming that, then we'll stay in the trade. Here we go. We are going to test a triple EMA crossover at this point. So we have now 4 levels of resistance above us. We have a strong downward trend line, and then we have 3 EMAs. Plus we have a strong level of, so I don't know, at this point we probably have like 5 levels of resistance right here. So this is extremely strong. Should definitely see a bounce back into that 609 levels from this 610 as the market makers sell that strength off. Still doing perfectly fine over on the 5 minute. As you can see, it lines up with the 20 EMA on the 5 minute. On the 15, we're probably lining up, right around the 10 EMAs where it bounces. And these aren't perfect. These aren't 100% exact. But generally, as you go up in time frames, you're going to go down on your EMAs. So that means your 1 minute is roughly your 50 minute, 1 minute. Your 50 EMA on the 1 minute chart is going to roughly be your 20 EMA on the 5 minute, and your 20 EMA on the 5 minute is roughly going to be your 15 minute 10 EMA. Here we go, pushing up against that 10 EMA. Pushing up against the 50 EMA, the 20 EMA, the strong horizontal price level resistance, and our upper trend line limit. Good volume, but it is declining. Here we go. 4 resistance levels. Does it break it? It could wick over it. Does it fully break it? It might bounce above it. But at this point, we are in negative momentum. We have crossed the 0 level. So our negative momentum, our selling power is going to be much stronger than our buying momentum, which is a good news that we want that. We do have to gain probably up to the 60 RSI now that we're in a bearish negative momentum level. We do have to get up a little bit up to about 60 RSI. So maybe around this level here just to continue our downward trend. So we are going to see a little bit of a buy up here. Shouldn't be anything too major to worry about. We have another resistance level about right here. Probably will hit that one and bounce down again, because we really haven't made a strong touch point on our trend line yet either. So this will be a good opportunity to see if that's going to be our touch point level. Also, as we get into the 610 level, we should see strong sell-off by our market makers, which is what we're seeing right now. But we have a little bit more room to go on the RSI. We're at 53. We need to get up to about a 60 to see another continuance of that bearish trend. We are on a 62 on the 5 minute. And our 15 minute is gaining a little bit of strength, but it's still in a downturn. Honestly, this is kind of what we expect. A little bit of a trade sideways here while we gather strength for a continued downwards trend. And here we go. We are losing some of that power. See, volume is dropping 300, 100, boom, 168, and then another 100,000 here. Slightly declining. Volume at 2,000 right now. 2,027. At 16,000 now. Still very low for what we're used to. This is higher volume. 125,000, 168, 107, 254, 296,000. Like that's higher volume. So as you can see, this pump of 27,000 is not that high. So let's let it settle out here. While we're doing that, we're going to actually turn on our Heiken Ashi candles and see what's going on. There you go. Very strong downward trend. Slight upward trend. We'll see it wane out here shortly. We're at 54 RSI, so we got a little bit more to go. And then we should see it come down quite a bit. We are negative below the base 0 line on our MACD signal and MACD line. So that is good. Looking fine on the 5 minute. Heading bearish. Just gaining a little consolidation period here. Maybe confirming that trend line, it looks like here. And then on the 15 minute, still above 70. High RSI in a declining buy cycle. It's looking pretty good right here. Let's take a look at the 30 minute. This very, very, very weak buy cycle with declining volume. We are in a buy cycle. RSI is pretty flat. As we go up and down, this is going to tilt. We should see a peak and a decline starting soon due to the declining volume. The day still are in a sell-off cycle, are at high RSI, so not much to consider there. The week, month, the too far out, I think, to really impact us too much. Here we go. Here we are starting back our decline on the 1 minute, selling back into that strength. Guys, it's going to do this all day, but at the end of the day, we're going to be around 607. So a lot of times at this point, I will set my alerts at 611 or like 610.95. I'll add like an alert if it pushes above that level. And then I want to go down here to like, I don't know, maybe 6. We're on the 5 minute. Let's see. Probably about like a 607 level. We'll call it right here. I'm going to set an alert below that, and we're just going to leave it and walk away and let price action do its thing. We've got the confirmation on our side. We're not too worried about it. We're just going to let it play out, and that's going to be our best, I think, our best bet. It prevents us from watching the charts and second guessing ourselves, but then also alerts us if our trade goes bad, in which we can cancel, or when our trade is about to be good and we need to get ready to sell. So that's kind of what I do. You guys are more than welcome to do whatever you want. On some of the brokerages I use, we can actually set like a stop loss order, like a bracket order, and then a take profit order. We're not trading on Webull. We're just watching price action here. On Webull, you can do that. On Robinhood, you cannot, which is honestly an oversight when it comes to Robinhood's trading. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. You have to set alerts if you're using Robinhood though. So pretty easy to do. You'll just open your app, do the same kind of thing. There'll be a little bell icon above the chart and you can click on it, and then you can type in the price level and then above or below where you want that alert to show up. And that's going to help you walk away from it, but know that you're going to get alerted if you need to take action on your trade. So that's, I guess, the tip for today when it comes to managing these trades. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. We are still in this trade. We're going to stay in this trade. Our price target is 607 once again, or once we get down into these levels if we see a reversal, or if we push through these levels and we hit the 611 levels. If there's news or something like that, then we'll actually exit the trade for a loss. But for now, we've got the confluence on our side. We have price action and volume on our side. And yeah, we just really have to let this play out. And this is a longer trade. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on the next Free the Trade live stream. Once again, this is DK305007, and I am signing off for the day.